Hello, and you're all very welcome to Animation Dingle's The Big Picture. My name is Mark Cumberton from Jam Media, and I'll be your host for this event. The Big Picture is generously sponsored by DreamWorks, and we are very grateful for their support with this event. So the concept for this panel is very simple. It's 12 projects, it's 3 minutes per pitch, it's 6 industry experts, and 1 eventual winner. Now, we've had a fantastic response to our call out for submissions. So we'd like to say thank you to everybody who took the time to apply. We've had 12 people have now been selected to pitch their ideas, which range from short films to pilot episodes and animated TV series. They will each have 3 minutes to share their vision and passion for their projects with our panel of industry experts. At the end of each pitch, one of our judges will give a brief review and ask a question or two on the project itself. When we've completed all 12 pitches, our industry judges will break away to confer, deliberate, and eventually come back to us with a winner. That winner will then go on to receive a 6-month paid internship in Jam Media, and they'll also have a chance to pitch their work at Cartoon Springboard, which is being held in Valencia in Spain later this year. So now I'd like to introduce to you our esteemed industry experts and judging panel. So we have Peter Gall from DreamWorks. Hi, Peter. We have Tara Sorensen from Apple. Hi, Tara. We have Suzanne Kelly from RTE. Hi, Suzanne. And we have Sarah Muller from CBBC.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah. We have Louise Bucknell from Viacom CBS Networks. Hi, Louise. And we have Adina Pitt from Warner Media. Hi, Adina. Okay, judges, thank you. We'd like to get the panel started now. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first pitcher of the day. We have Holly Newman. Holly is from BCFE, and her show is Seafarer's Boon. Over to you, Holly, and best of luck.
Hi, my name is Holly Newman, and I'm really happy to be sharing my pitch for my TV show idea, Seafarer's Boon, the story of a lonely young fisherwoman who's whisked into a quest to escort a seafarer to safety. So Seafarer's Boon is a story of Seafarer's Boon is a fantasy series split into 12 episodes, each around 24 minutes long, with a target audience of 10 years and up, with the overall themes being the importance of friendship, connection with others in times of loneliness, which is something that's very important to me and is probably very, very relevant to a lot of people at the moment, especially for the current time that we're in. So there are 4 main characters in Seafarer's Boon, each with their own stories and goals that will intertwine throughout the season. First, we have Nola, a young fisherwoman who's returned to the sea for the first time in years, who's just trying to make it through the summer after the loss of a loved one. Then we have Lou, a sea fairy who's said to be extinct and who's seeking a new life and is on the run from enemies abound. Then we have Elwood, a local librarian who's desperate to save his sick and dying mother and will do anything to find a solution for her. And last but not least, we have Maher, who seeks revenge and harbors a deep, dark secret that terrifies her. So the premise of Seafarer's Boon is after Nola is unexpectedly saved by Lou, she's then whisked into a deal with her in which she must escort her through the forbidden forest rivers to a rumored sanctuary. All the while, though, the two are unaware of a common myth surrounding these seafarers, which is that to kill one is to grant that person a boon, a magical spell or wish that will bring that person whatever their heart desires. So in Elwood's case, a spell strong enough to save the life of his dying mother. The setting of Seafarer's Boon is a coastal area full of tall, waterlogged forests and more rivers than solid ground. It starts off at a seaside town, and as the season progresses, the terrain grows more wild and dangerous as the characters travel further and further. With both parties traveling by boat, they must make their way through winding, maze-like rivers through the forest. So a typical episode would consist of Nola and Lou venturing through these forest rivers and facing a different challenge or creature in each one. So for example, it could be pixies that try to rob them, kelpies trying to lure them off course, a sea dragon they must answer a riddle to, or for example, in this still right here, hungry tree spirits that try to lure them deeper into the woods for food. And in the same episode then, Elwood and Maher's party will be following behind, facing similar threats, although where Nola and Lou try to be stealthy and clever about their journey, Elwood and Maher are stuck with some pretty boisterous and trigger-happy friends who end up causing a lot of mayhem and destruction along the way. So to wrap it up, Seafarer's Boon is the story of friendship and connection with others and letting yourself be vulnerable, set against the backdrop of a formidable yet beautiful world full of dangerous sea creatures, looming forests, and great mysteries. A world that will bring our 4 main characters together in unlikely and unexpected ways. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you, Holly. That's a lovely pitch. And we have Peter Gall of DreamWorks to review your pitch now.
First of all, I thought it was really, it really pulled me in. I thought the art was really evocative and beautiful and immediately made me want to know more. So that's just a really good thing, good place to start. How old were the main characters again?
The main characters, range from about 18 to 21.
And does it take place in a time that is our time, or is it a specific period that you've set this in?
Technology-wise, it's sort of based off of 1920s, but it's not the real world 1920s.
You know, I think it's hard to have adult characters and this very adult journey, especially with themes of loneliness that you're pitching. So I'm wondering if there was a specific reason you thought to pitch it as a series instead of as a film.
It's such a long story that I think it works better if it's split into 12 chapters over the course of a series.
I think your character designs and the color palette is beautiful. The one piece of feedback I would give you is I noticed a rifle with one of the characters in your lineup, and that would be sort of an immediate red flag in kids series.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our next pitch, and we have Tina Maher from Ballyfermot Senior College with her show Ghostal.
Hello, my name is Tina Maher. I study animation at Ballyfermot College of Further Education. It is an honor to be here to present this pitch for my series, Ghostal. After breaking an ancient seal when finding a new home, two sisters are forced to become reluctant owners of a hotel for ghosts. Each episode introduces a new ghost along with new problems to solve, whether it be the work of said ghost or the general trouble found in a harsh world. Ghostal has two primary protagonists, Cora and Pip. Cora, the older sister, is 12 years old and is the more cautious and introverted of the two. 8-year-old Pip, meanwhile, is more excitable and bouncy. Cora starts off as dismissive, but she gradually grows more open through meeting new characters this whole season. Her perseverance and bravery help her through. Pip starts out a bit more insensitive, but grows more patient and determined through the hardships they go through. The show also has a few minor recurring characters that help the two sisters run the hotel, from a grumpy old haunted furnace to a gluttonous catfish chef. The spectral staff are a stark contrast to the dull, run-down locals. The events of the apocalypse that changed the landscape and the people of the world is not a living memory. Everyone, both living and dead, is therefore mostly humanoid, but give room for designing characters based more on their occupation. Ironically, Cora and Pip being children is both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness, as they have the capability of being endlessly kind and enduring, but are also gullible and naive. Ultimately, it's a story about making the best of what seems like a bad situation and the characters' interactions with each other. They give the story its heart, and they show that it's okay to be angry and upset, and how different people deal with it differently. Some need comfort in others' company, while others need time by themselves. The two sisters' adventures are actually inspired by me and my own little sister's childhood summers spent in a small Italian village full of abandoned hotels that we'd sneak into with friends. Apart from my own experiences, shows like Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and Over the Garden Wall inspire me greatly in their world building and interesting characters. All in all, I want to tell a story about family, both found and that of blood. Thank you all for your time.
Hi, Tina. How are you? Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Can you talk me through what you would see as a kind of a typical story arc of an episode?
A ghost appears in order to help out run the hotel. Like, for example, these three brother ghosts that come in to help clear out some of the vegetation. And by the end, throughout the episode, they get a bit frustrated maybe that there's like too much to handle, or like they get overcome with memories of what the ghost hotel used to be in its prime, and that they're trying to fix it up. And then the two sisters, using their limited experience, but the experience that they have in their own bond, they get to help out and befriend the ghosts. And some of the ghosts go back to the other side, but others do tend to stick around as they would have future roles.
And is each episode, do you see this as a kind of like a sequential series, or are they all standalone episodes?
I'd say it could be easy enough for them to be standalone, but there is like an underlying tension between the two sisters, as like they're not certain if they do want to stay in the hotel or not.
What age is the series pitched at, ideally?
About 8 to 11, but hopefully enjoyable by all, yeah.
So do you see the series as having a kind of like a surreal quality to it? You know,
Oh, definitely.
Thanks, Tina, and thanks, Suzanne. Next up, we have Joshua Brown.
Hello.
And Joshua is from Iadt, and his show is Bean Team.
Okay, so hi there, everybody. I'm Joshua. I'm here to talk to you about a little television show that I'm thinking of doing. And I'm usually an animator, but today I'm a researcher, as I've made quite the discovery. Now, what's inside this box is fantastical, so out of this world, so mind-altering, that for those that are faint of heart, I suggest you look away from the screen right now. What? You in the audience? A regular can? No. Inside this can is a whole world, just like ours, but a little more beansy. And I've had a look inside to tell you the story of 3 small beans on one big journey. So they call themselves the Bean Team, and every day they travel around the city to help out wherever they can and have some fun along the way. But first, I want to introduce you to Kiki the Kidney Bean. Kiki is the leader of the team, and all she dreams about is being an adventurer and seeing the world outside the can someday. Curious to find out anything and everything, her adventuring spirit can sometimes cause her to be a bit distracted, but her best friends are there to help and set her on that straight and narrow. Next up is P, the P. It's short for Patricia. P is Kiki's oldest friend and next door neighbor. P wants to one day be a stunt bean for Pinto Productions, but she's a small pea in a big can, so every day is a chance for her to hone her karate chopping, parkour jumping, extreme skating skills. Last but not least is Roger the runner bean. He's a gentle giant, and for a runner bean, he does like to take things a little slow. A little more of a thinker than a doer. He likes to be a part of the Bean Team to help him come out of his shell a little more and help him get a bit more of that confidence. But Roger's greatest asset is his emotional skills that have saved the day more than a couple of times. So, are these the only types of legumes found in this can? No, we have all sorts of different types of beans, peas, lentils, chickpeas, of all different shapes, sizes, and personalities. But what about the inside of the can, I hear you ask? Well, I have this handy graphic here provided by the Bean Corp, the harmless company that operates the can, that shows us the can is split into different layers, each with its own specific purpose and, district. Now you're wondering what happens on an episode? Well, I spoke to Kiki to ask her about any of the adventures that her and her team have been on, and she told me about a day in spring when a wildflower inside the can attracted a lone bee that was terrorizing the city. And it was up to the Bean Team to wrangle the insect and calm it down. So every bean-filled episode inside this can is going to have the 3 A's. We're going to have some adventure, we're going to have some action, and we're going to have some emotion, but spelt with an A. For these small beans, anything is possible. There is no dream that this bean cannot complete on this big journey. But that's all the time I have. And thank you for listening.
Thank you for such a fun, high energy, high octane pitch. I see this, I'm curious, why this show now?
Well, for me, this show comes from a very personal place as when I was a kid and, my friendship, but it also comes from the kids that I teach. Part-time throughout the pandemic, I've been working with kids, teaching them drama on the weekends, teaching animation during the day, drama on the weekends, and I've seen them throughout this pandemic. And, something that's so important for kids is that idea of identity and finding their own space. Yes. Bean Team is kind of like an homage to the kids that do the after-school activity to try and become their own kind of posse, their own kind of team.
Could lend itself nicely to a preschool show that leans into healthy eating, or really kind of embracing the fact that they are food and they are legumes. And that also opens up the opportunity of not just beans, but maybe other canned vegetables or any other canned fruit. Don't really know who the target is yet off of, and you did a wonderful job in just a few minutes, but to really embrace the fact that they're young looking and they're having silly adventures. Why not bring in something that, you know, parents would really want their kids to watch, and maybe kids could have some fun watching their food come alive and be silly. Oh, that's the talking pea. And then when they're eating their peas, you know, I can see how that could be fun. I do encourage you also to maybe do another pass on the art, make it feel a little more modern.
Excellent. I'm gonna keep it moving along now. I'm gonna go with Emma Campbell, please. Emma is from Pulse College, and her show is Concrete Jungle.
So I think the best way to tell you about the Concrete Jungle series is to tell you how I came up with the idea first. All my life I've been obsessed with anything to do with nature and the world's wildlife. And over a recent lockdown, I think we've all seen a documentary by David Attenborough. He talks about deforestation and our forever growing concrete jungles. He mentioned that there's nothing stopping the fast rate of deforestation. But what if there was? The Concrete Jungle is about a native Amazonian child named Pedro. Pedro is the Amazon's only hope for survival. He must find the courage to fight against the invaders who are destroying his home. Although the fight is jeopardized by ruthless leader Hogan, and Pedro is left to explore the concrete jungle, meeting new friends along the way. The tribe must save their beloved home, but can they defeat the destructive invaders and restore the forest to its former glory? Inspired by Georgia Jungle, the Powerpuff Girls, and the Croods, the Concrete Jungle is an action-packed comedic adventure series targeted at children aged 8 to 10. Set in the present era, the show is set to have 12 episodes, all at a length of 20 minutes each, and with the pilot episode being a length of 30. The pilot episode will introduce the main character, Pedro, as he runs to the local witch doctor's hut. As we meet the witch doctor Bates, we also find out about Pedro's past. The scene flashbacks to Pedro's mother, saving him from a collapsing tree as the rainforest is set on fire. This results in her death. And this is where we are also first introduced to the ruthless leader, Hogan. Pedro begins his journey to find Hogan and seek revenge, but will Hogan be too strong for Pedro to fight back? The series is aimed to highlight the importance of forestry, culture, community to our younger generations, as the series presents real-life matters. Deforestation has destroyed the world as we know it. The Amazon is a devastating place ruled by the invaders. How can a small Amazonian child save his own home?
Wow, Emma, well done. Great pitch. You're all doing incredibly well, I have to say, working just directly to a screen and not getting the energy back that you would get if we were in the room. So well done to all of you. So this is great. Young audiences are very interested in sustainability as a topic. They're interested in the environment. So you're absolutely right on the money for where we are now in terms of talking to audiences. And they're also very sophisticated. You'll hear this from the other judges. It had a beautiful look and it was very painterly. So I guess my questions to you are around the references and the type of storytelling that you're looking for here. So you referenced Powerpuff Girls, which is great. You talked about some comedy, which is also a great way of sharing difficult messages and making sure your audience does stay along for the ride. You could quite possibly go down a more serious route with this, but if you're after comedy and you're after Powerpuff Girls, then thinking of ways to make it more playful and fun might be your next pass of development, I think.
Yeah, so the whole idea with being inspired by Georgia Jungle is someone growing up in forest, then going into our massive concrete jungles, like our cities and our landscapes. With the Croods, it's more based on artwork. That's the kind of style I've been going for artwork-wise. And then when I reference the Powerpuff Girls, that's more what way I want the episodes to go.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Sarah. Again, moving it along, I'd like to introduce Jordan Beasy. Jordan is from Colossia Dúlac in Coolock, sorry. And his show is My Friend Causeway. So please welcome Jordan Beasy.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and I'm here to pitch My Friend Causeway, which, if you notice, my background is Causeway. And you can even see the main character just hanging out somewhere over there. There we go. So the premise is, after his pet dog, Dara, was stolen by the evil King Balor, who was a Fomorian from Irish history, Oisin, a young boy, has to travel through the lands of Turnanog with the assistance of Causeway, a stone giant, in order to save his friend and bring him home. On their journey, they meet the famous residents of Irish lore, who all have their different stories to tell. The story is told episodically, so which has deep character-driven lore-based episodes with the overarching goal of making it to King Balor's domain and saving Dara. This focuses on Irish tales of each of the characters we meet, giving them a spotlight in a larger story so we learn more about their myths and also create allies and foes throughout the journey. A protagonist for the story is somewhere here, if I can remember where the share button is. There we go. So our character for the story is Oisin, a young and determined boy who will stop at nothing to bring his, quote, only friend back from the depths of Turnanog. You may notice he makes more friends throughout the journey because it's in the title. Causeway, also known as Finn McCool, is a giant stone warrior from long ago who, in seeing what happened to Oisin, he sends a part of himself in the form of a smaller version to guide Oisin through the treacherous lands. In the vein of Virgil from who guides Dante in Dante's Inferno, he's the insight of the world. He's from the magical world, while Oisin is our avatar. He's our perspective as the outsider who wants to learn these stories. So throughout the story, we meet fairy tales of old that some of us may know, such as Cú Chulainn, very famous. Most people now know him as the guy from the GPO. And some of us not so much, like the Puka. These denizens of the land are here to influence Oisin's journey by telling their tales and sometimes even still living through their tales as Oisin and Causeway help them finish their stories. These characters are here to help or hinder Oisin in his final confrontation with King Balor. There we go. The goal of this as a whole is to pass down stories from our past, the Irish past, pass it to our children and even the rest of the world, enlighten them on the wonders of Irish mythology. I keep looking at my mic rather than the camera. Because we all know Hercules, we all know Rapunzel, the Baba Yaga. We have so many tales from other cultures and stories, but not our own, which is so rich in stories. And there's just so many people, like, Cú Chulainn, do you know he has a shield made from ash woods that summons ghosts to fight for him? Like, that's really fun details that I think will draw people in that just nobody knows about. My generation was one of the last to really learn about these cultures, these stories. And I have nieces and nephews that just have no idea about this. So I feel like it would be a great necessity to have an Irish-based show for kids to enjoy Irish names, cultures, designs, and clothing, the Irish language, and most importantly, Irish language, most importantly. Sorry, my notes. We lost so much culture over the past 100 years. There's so much gone, and we don't know our language, and we don't know our stories, and it just feels like you need something to bring it back, to show kids and the future generations, this is what we have. These are the stuff that is in your blood that you can show and share people. And what a better way to do this than through a whimsical, melancholic adventure with two buddies on a mission to stop a bad guy and save a pet.
Great job pitching. I really love the character design. I thought it was unique. Can you talk to me a little bit more about why you wanted to tell the story? It sounds like maybe your nieces and nephews inspired.
Yeah, having like my nieces and nephews are all 3 to 4, those young kids, so they always have cartoon shows on, and they always feel a bit meandering. like you watch shows and you sit there with them and you can enjoy them, but it's kind of like the episode's over, you didn't learn anything. It's kind of like you have those kind of moments where, oh yeah, you put this on for time to pass, but it feels like you kind of want to know stuff.
I love the richness of the world and that you were sort of relying on the Irish folk tales. I think what I would encourage you to do is make sure that you think more globally. So even though those characters and stories can be informed by your own Irish stories, you know, how they sort of appeal to the rest of the world. I think it has sort of this Tolkien-esque feel to it. You know, I also sort of questioning, like, does Osteen understand sort of the magic of this world, or what does he think? Like, how is he sort of presented with this, you know, quagmire of his dog is missing, and what does he do?
In this version, he fell during the fight and became the causeway physically. He's the body of it. And he kind of grew attached to them because they're both from Antrim, and daily he would see him, and then suddenly his dog's gone and you could feel the sadness about it. So he wanted to help him by like giving him a second chance. He's like, I'm going to guide you through this magical land that you don't know anything about. Oisín's quite young. He's 12 to 13. He's going from like a naive age to a finally understanding age of like, he wants to start learning stuff. So he's like, okay, I'm going to bring you to this magical fairyland.
Does Osteen have parents? Like, how in the real world does time stand still so he can go on this adventure? Or
yeah, that's actually one of the big stories with Turn and Oak, which is the land of the gods. What's his name?
I'm gonna have to wind you up. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. That was great.
Thank you.
A rich tapestry of Irish mythology. Absolutely. Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Jordan. Next up, I'm going to have Emer Cooney from BCFE with her project Hinterland.
Hi, my name is Emer Cooney, and I'm delighted to pitch my TV series idea, Hinterlands. After the death of his mother causes the countryside to become a barren wasteland, a young boy must go on a quest to make the land regrow. Hinterlands is a low fantasy 10-part series with a target audience of 10 years and up. Each episode will be 15 minutes long. My goal is to create a series that tackles difficult themes like loss and loneliness and mental health in a hopeful, creative way that seems accessible for kids without coming across as like too dark or bleak. I think that there's a lot of media out there that deals with things like death and illness, but not the months and years afterward, which can be the loneliest and the most difficult to navigate, especially for young people. The Maher family live on a small farm in the middle of nowhere. Young Connor's head is filled with stories from his mother about a king whose land was connected to him by magic. When the king was happy, the flowers grew and the harvest was plentiful. A children's story, or so they thought. However, after Connor's mother dies, the land begins to die too, slowly becoming a dusty, barren wasteland. With a mostly absent and irresponsible dad, it's up to Connor's oldest sister, Martha, to look after them and the farm. The pair fight constantly. A socially awkward 12-year-old chatterbox, Connor is always trying to prove himself to others. Desperate for their acceptance, what he really needs is to learn to accept himself. All Martha wants, on the other hand, is to be left alone. At just 19 years old, she's already burnt out and exhausted from trying to hold everything together. What she really needs is to come to terms with her mother's death and make peace with the land and those around her. Some of the other characters then will include Gwen, Martha's longtime friend, old Maureen, who Connor thinks is really a witch, Mr. Moore, the village kids, and Connor's dog, Fran. So with nothing to grow on the farm, Mr. Moore takes a gamble and he loses badly. Destitute, the Moores risk losing everything. To help his family, Connor decides he has to do something. So he strikes out to seek the bounty on a monster, terrorizing the local village. Caught by spirits, Connor is told that unless the king is found, the land will die. So he embarks on a fantastical quest in the hopes of saving the farm and winning the approval of friends. The series then will follow Connor on a wild and whimsical goose chase to find the king and break the curse. In each episode, he'll encounter a different creature in need of his help. Calming raging forest fairies, getting caught up in a mermaid's marriage problems, helping old ghosts come to terms with their losses, and giving a giant the confidence to go out on a date. Meanwhile, Martha is struggling to pay off her father's debt, take care of Connor, and make ends meet as the land around her grows worse and worse. Overtired, overworked, and overcome with grief, Martha pushes everyone away. In a race against time, Connor must find the king and break the curse before the land and his sister are lost forever. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
A really rich story. Well done on your pitch. It was a really sort of like a passionate story, had a great background. The design was very different and fresh. And I think some of the themes that you had in there are very relatable now to sort of 10-year-olds, especially from the last year of feeling sort of lonely, friendship, and how they sort of relate in with their family. I just wanted to ask you a question about some of the other characters that you had. Obviously, we saw a few of the sort of other children and kids that were in the place that they live. How do they relate into the story and the quest? Because for a 10-year-old sort of audience and up, it's very much about relationships and how it can be relatable to how they are with other kids as well.
Well, I kind of drew a lot from how I felt when I was a kid. So I kind of always, well, not always, but when I was young, I definitely felt like a bit of an outsider, and I kind of wanted to reflect. But I don't want the other kids either to be like mean or unrelatable. I'd like to be able to, see myself and see other kids reflected in these kids. So I think if I gave them all individual personalities and little goals that they could achieve throughout the series, it would be really fun.
I think the sort of world that you described, it's got a great backstory. You've really sort of thought about the characters, the stakes, sort of their emotional sort of connection with each other. So I think you've done a great job there, and I really like the design. I thought it was quite different to anything that you would have seen. I think you're right in that you really thought about it's 10 parts, it's 15 minutes. Obviously, if we were to look at a series, we might look at sort of a longer run than that. So you might want to think about sort of where the stories might go beyond 10 episodes to sort of really put in place the sort of story arc and where it goes, and also think about whether it's a sequential series of each episode you have to watch or whether they're standalone and it's the next step in the journey.
I am going to go straight on to Kirsten Hennessy from Athlone IT, and her project is Nova. So best of luck, Kirsten, and we'll see you soon.
This is my pitch called Nova. Nova, this adorable young lady is Nova. Nova is an 8-year-old girl. She lives in County Waterford in the southeast of Ireland. She loves going to school. She loves being with her friends. But not everything is the way that seems. And in this world, Nova is a little girl who is living in a world exactly like her own, only there are two types of humans: normal humans like you and me, and humans who evolved from fallen stars. Nova is half star person and half human person. As a vocabulary add-in, star people are referred to as Astralnas, Earth humans are referred to as Voasks, and half Astralna, half Voask are called Sadelnas. Nova is our main character. She's 10 years old, she's half star, half human. She's courageous, she's compassionate, she's loyal, and she's willing to learn. And she just wants to be herself. Alchemy is one of her best friends. He's a lot more serious than Nova. He's a lot more down to earth, and he's a bit of a grounding force for her for when her imagination gets ahead of her. Alara is also one of her best friends, and Alara is sweet, she's kind, she's confident, and she is very quiet in comparison to Nova, but the two of them get along very well. Nova loves to bake with her mom. She loves to play video games with her brother Noah. She loves to get into all kinds of mischief, like not being able to eat the cake batter before it becomes a cake. She loves jumping into muddy puddles. She loves the rain. She loves nature. She loves playing pretend. But one of the things that she loves the most is exploring her star heritage with the help of her father, who is her star parent. They go star watching, and Nova is extremely interested in her heritage, and she wants to learn more. Being half star person, she's so interested in astronomy, and she just wants to learn more. But as a person, Nova is a great friend. She's a great person, and she just wants to be herself and do what makes her happy. And as a last note, she really loves ballet, even though she might not be the best at it. The themes that I want to explore are the themes of growing up, learning the differences between right and wrong, and Nova's journeys usually leave her with a life lesson that you wouldn't learn just from going to school or being taught by your parents, but rather by doing and being in situations. In school, you learn that intelligence is the most important thing that you can have, or you need to work your whole life. But Nova learns how to be compassionate. She learns how to take failures with grace, and she learns to keep trying even when the odds are against her. I would like to pitch this as a 10-episode series because I was very influenced by Over the Garden Wall, and each episode should be around roughly 15 minutes long. Thank you.
I really enjoyed this pitch. And
I'm glad. I'm genuinely glad.
I was taking notes while you were speaking. I wrote things like reaching for the stars. That's what she's doing with this. Really, literally. You know, some of the themes, inclusivity, I could see the diversity, which is something that is so important right now in content. I love that you have a female lead who's trying to, kind of that joy of self-discovery, but I did make a note. I wrote, you know, it's really not about being the best. It's about being the best you that you can be. And I got that sense from Nova and her journey. Maybe I missed it. How did she come to the family?
Oh, her father is a star person and her mother is a human person. So star people just exist on.
Got it. Are you thinking of adding music to this? You know, the music was a big component of that.
I have thought about music, but I haven't thought of it in such a big deal because I don't think that I'm a person who could put music to a certain theme and hope that it sticks. Like, I'd probably put rock music in a ballet.
So I would say it's more than 15 minutes. I would go longer with this just to allow for that.
We're going to move on to Harry Burton, and Harry is from Pulse College and his show is Enzo. Over to you, Harry.
Hi, my name is Harry Burton. I'm an animation student based in Dublin City. My background is in political cartoons, so I'm used to drawing cold politicians. However, now I'm more into drawing warm characters such as Enzo. He's a forgetful elephant who remembers the important things. I'd like to make this into an animated short, so the duration will be about 4 minutes. So let me tell you a story, and thank you for the opportunity. Enzo slowly awakens, looks over to his alarm clock, and realizing he's late, jumps out of bed to get ready. An envelope lies on the kitchen table where his roommate sits as she watches him rush around the house. After brushing his tusks, he throws on his tote bag and scampers out the door. Halfway down the steps, he hears a tapping noise and turns around to see his housemate knocking on the window, holding the envelope. He forgot it. Thanking her profusely, he collects it and dashes to catch the bus. He chases the bus as it starts to leave his stop. The driver recognizes Enzo, smiles, and allows him to hop on. On the bus, he sits next to an old lady who grumbles as her sacred space has been disturbed. Enzo looks at his watch and hopes his friend hasn't been waiting too long. He glances outside and then sees he's about to miss his stop. After jumping out, he hears a tapping noise. Turning around, he sees the old lady is knocking on the window, holding the envelope. He has forgotten it again. He gratefully retrieves it and runs to the florist. Knowing his friend's love for flowers, he picks up the ones with the nicest scent. After paying for them, Enzo makes his way out the door. Outside, he hears a tapping noise. The shop assistant is knocking on the window while holding the envelope. Enzo has forgotten it once again. Slightly embarrassed, Enzo collects the envelope and makes his way to the park, excited to see his friend. Arriving, he sees his friend sitting on a bench reading her book. As he walks to greet her, Enzo notices he isn't holding the envelope. His stomach sinks, sweat rolls down his forehead until he realizes it's in his tote bag. He forgot that he put it in there. Enzo hands her the flowers and the envelope. She opens it and it reveals a birthday card. She says, "You remembered." And Enzo replies, "Elephants never forget."
Hello, Harry. That was wonderful. It's really cheered me up. Delightful. So, It was full of lovely, unexpected detail, which is often what makes the difference. We all see a lot of brilliant ideas from creators all around the world, but there was just small attention to detail, like it being a CND bag, like him having his watch, just the thought that had gone into it, although it was simplicity itself, was excellent.
Thank you.
And I would also say that by not attempting to tell a huge story, you managed to convey quite a lot as well. So there's an interesting example there. And sometimes as far as storytelling is concerned, less is definitely more.
Cool.
I loved the physicality of it. We're all looking for Mr. Bean. Virtually nobody in this room has Mr. Bean, but the audience loves it because they love slapstick.
Yeah,
they like that very visual approach to the storytelling. And I believe I can see that your political cartoonist bases are just in the way that you deliver the gags. The timing was very good.
Cool, thank you.
Both in how you presented it and how it was executed.
I'm not I think that could be a decent shout for sure. But yeah, I think for now, I would look at the short and then definitely put it into maybe a episode or
Our next picture, it's Grace O'Shea, and she's from IT College in Tralee, and her show is Which Way. So over to you, Grace. Best of luck.
If you were able to cast magic in your everyday life, you would think life would be a breeze, able to create anything, everything with the flick of your finger. Sounds great, right? Not so much if you could barely get a spell right. This is the problem faced by Luna, Elsie, and Faye, three little witch sisters, only at the start of their journey. Oops. There we go. Follow the sisters on their daily adventures in trying to learn how to control their magical abilities while also dealing with school, friends, family, and each other. Now, let's meet our witches. First, we have Luna, the oldest sister. She's the most responsible and has the most control of her abilities, but feels the need to stop her sisters from using their magic willy-nilly. Next, we have middle child. She wants to help everyone by using her magic, even when it's not called for, and usually ends up with an even bigger problem in the end. And last, we have Faye, the youngest sister. She wants to prove she can be just as good as magic as her big sisters, even if her magic tends to be more like she has spells around. The themes of the show would be to show the magic and wonder of everyday life, as to which everything and anything can be seen as an adventure. It also deals with the sibling relationships, friendship, and just basic fun of things. Possible episodes ideas would be the girls taking a field trip to the zoo and turning into animals. Faye learning how to ride her brooms by herself for the first time, and Elsie turning off the gravity school during class. Here is some concept art that I created when I first started the story. I wanted to think of the idea for like a friendly witch instead of like the scary one, and then that led on to the three little girls. And here's some pictures of their possible friends if they were to do the series. Magic may be chaotic, but it is fun. How could they not try and make life a little bit more magical, even if they might cause a tiny little wee bit of trouble? Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of the festival.
I really, really enjoyed it. Well done. You know, I think what you did here that was really smart is you tied into things that are always interesting to a kid audience. Magic is always going to be interesting. Working on developing your skills and abilities is always going to be interesting, and it's something kids are dealing with every day. The dynamics between siblings who have different strengths is always going to be something that is interesting. So I think you were smart to put all of that kind of at the center of the concept. One of the stories you pitched where they turn into animals, I thought that was a good idea because that uses animation very well, something that would be a little harder to do in live action. And I think that's something I would lean into more in the pitch, is thinking about how can I use animation and to tell stories that would be much harder or, you know, prohibitively expensive to do with visual effects in live action. What age group were you thinking of for the show?
was thinking of going 4 and up, because if it was like kind of like comedy with the magic, that it could be like easy for a lot of kids to watch that, similar to how kids would watch Scooby-Doo and stuff.
Yeah, I think for 4 and up, the overall feel of it is a little too young. You know, I would either try and lean this a little younger and bring some curriculum element into it to make it more preschool appropriate, or make the comedy, the ideas a little more edgy.
We're going to move on to Mark Fitzgerald from Iadt with his show, eGamu.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Fitzgerald. I'm a third year at IATT studying art, but I have a passion for animation. I go by the name of Fitzmark on the online space, and I'm here today to pitch my series, eGamu, which Gimu is Japanese for game. So what's the story of eGamu? eGamu is an anime-inspired series set in a world where esports has become a mainstream sport. The series focuses on gamers Arno and Siu, who come across each other at an elite gaming college in Japan, where they learn how to become successful esports players. The series follows them as they interact with their diverse peers, as well as their growing relationship. Over time, the two of them become a powerful gaming duo, as well as pro gamers in their own right. Let's look at the main characters. Arlo, our first co-protagonist is Arlo, a late bloomer in e-gaming from England who's of British-American descent. During his childhood, he was a social outcast, but after discovering video games, he managed to communicate with people. However, while his parents are supportive, they are skeptical and concerned of his dream. The other co-protagonist is Siu, a short, black-haired female gamer from South Korea. She was close to her video gaming older brother who serves in the army, but died in battle, which made her quiet, reserved, and rarely showing emotion, but begins to open up after meeting Arlo. The setting of eGamu is mainly set at Tokyo Gaming Institute in Japan, which is open to students from around the world. The year groups in the college are called levels, and the college is divided into worlds, aka departments such as gaming, where students learn how to be pro gamers, development, where people focus on video game development, as well as business, to focus on the video game business. Since the series is inspired by anime and manga, particularly Shonen, the show employs story arcs, and the characters look at other games from different genres outside the main game, which is a sci-fi battle royale game. Here are some examples of story arcs. The first years of Tokyo Gaming Institute participate at the college's gaming festival, where they showcase their abilities in order to entice esports organizations and game developers. For the practical exam, students are grouped together and must face professional esports players. And lastly, outside of tournament arcs, there's also character moments as well, such as in order to get to know more about their peers outside their social circles, they play a murder mystery game. Now I'm going to show you a quick clip of a rough animatic of my idea. I have some themes and target audiences in mind for this project. I think the main thing of this show is connection, whether through gaming or through friendships and relationships or common memories. And also the show will include a diverse cast, which will go great with the theme of connection. The episodes are also going to be 22 minutes long, and my main target audience in mind are older teenagers and adults who are more into anime and manga at that age. So thank you for listening and for the opportunity to allow me to pitch this idea. Thank you.
Well done. It was
you.
a really, really great pitch. So first up, I think you're really, you really got something here. We're doing a lot of work in the live action space, with esports at the moment. It's absolutely huge, and I just cannot believe. Well, I haven't seen really much that has come into me that kind of merges those two worlds of animation and esports. It's really, really exciting. It also offers up a huge opportunity for just loads of stories, particularly the fact that you're citing it in a kind of a college. I think there's an opportunity to have, younger kids who have managed to make it into the college, which could be fun and kind of could open the series up to a kind of a wider demographic.
Next up, we have Elaine Brandon. She's from BCFE with her show, Vilja's Not So Earthly Detective Corner.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elaine Brandon, and I'm from Sweden, the country of Zlatan and the Meatballs. And I'm here to pitch my idea for a TV show called Vilja's Not So Earthly Detective Corner. Now, what do you get when you cross to the fun adventure of Tintin and the comedy of Courage the Cowardly Dog? Well, you get Vilja's Not So Earthly Detective Corner. So, my inspiration for the show comes from where I'm from, Sweden, specifically when it comes to witches, because we have this thing called Easter witches, which we dress up all kids as Easter witches, and it's a very much linked to our culture and an island called Blue Maiden, which is where we have all kind of folklore. So what is Vilja's Not So Earthly Detective Corner? Well, it's just a normal detective corner. Well, except they solve stuff like aliens, ghosts, and other phenomena, normal detective stuff. And there they solve all these kinds of cases which no one else would take in the most unexplainable. So what are the characters we're going to root for? Well, we have the main character, Vilja. She is a very eccentric woman. She loves Sherlock Holmes, and she loves anything that's unexplainable. It'll take every kind of thing she loves. And then we have Bert. He's her best friend. He's the opposite of her, very nervous, very anxious, but they make such a good team, and they're really strong together in that kind of sense. And they help each other, learn from each other from that. So my inspiration and where it takes place is, like I said, the Blue Maiden, which is a real island, which they say all witches come from. So I'm thinking that this town is going to take place is Bowerberg, a fictional town. And this is based completely on Scandinavian culture and folklore. And my planning for this series is it's going to be completely character driven. It's going to be 10 episodes long for one season. And it's going to be around 11 minutes. And my target audience is 8 or 13 Asian, and where it takes place. Sorry? So what I'm thinking for this whole series is it's going to be it's going to take place in Barsberg, and we're going to follow these characters on this adventure, and they're going to solve all these mystery and ghosts. And we're going to, in for a second season, I'm planning on, why not just all kinds of cultures, like around the world, and more myths and backstories on all these characters. And why should you watch this show? Because it's going to be fun for the whole family, and it's going to be fun adventures, and you're just going to want more and want to know all these mysteries of what is really going on in this town. Thank you so much for watching my pitch. And thank you so much.
It's a really interesting concept of merging sort of like a mystery story with a lot of folklore, and I like the fact that the inspiration comes from something that actually exists, and so that can come from a real passion, and sort of the audience, particularly kids, would could look that up and get into sort of like the backstory of that. Could I just ask, what are the age of the main characters? I might have missed that. Are they children or adults?
Yeah. So I'm thinking like 8 to 12. So, and I want it to be like a show you watch with the whole family.
What is unique about this show? And I think that's sort of like delving into where this is based and the backstory of sort of the town. You mentioned about going to sort of like other locations around the world, and I think just maybe dial that back a little bit. Also, it'd be really good to sort of understand sort of the format of the story of each episode. Does it follow a sort of particular way that they kind of find the mystery, how they solve it, what the resolve is? So that would be good to sort of establish. You need to sort of think about sort of the action and the adventure and comedy in a series like this to sort of really engage that sort of 7 to 12 audience. But yeah, well done. It's a really fun pitch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I suppose it's the last pitch of the day now. It's Fintan O'Dwyer from Pulse College and his show, Captain Smooth. Over to you, Fintan, and best of luck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fintan, and I'm here today to talk to you about my idea for a show called Captain Smooth. It's a comedic series aged at children from ages 7 to 10. Set in the world of pirates, everyone is born with a beard, and everyone in this world loves beards. So much so that they even have theme parks dedicated just to beards. They've got beard-shaped cotton candy, beard-shaped balloons, all sorts. All of the most famous pirates in history have had huge bushy beards, and everyone really looks up to them. Everyone, especially Captain Smooth. He was actually the only person born without a beard, and he wants nothing more than to be a pirate and to fit in as well. The idea for the show came to me because, I don't know if you can notice, but I can't grow a beard. And unfortunately, it feels like everyone in the world can sometimes. The captain is very adventurous and loves to have fun with his friends. His best friend is Gabby. Now, Gabby is very sporty and loves a good challenge. She's actually the captain of the bowling team. But you might want to stay on her good side, though, because sometimes she can be a bit crabby. Another one of their friends is Chester. And when he lacks in size, he makes up for it with a huge bushy beard. And he always seems to have exactly what you need for an adventure stashed away inside there. He's a very smart young man and loves to read. Next up, we have the captain's parents. So we have Mama and Papa Smooth. Mama is the former captain aboard a pirate ship called the Bookworm, and she used to travel the world looking for new books. Her husband is Papa Smooth, and he used to be the chef aboard the ship, and he would look for recipe books. It's like they say, piracy and literacy do go hand in hand. They called their son Captain because they have hopes that one day he will be a great pirate as well. Here's an idea for a sample episode. It's called Walk the Plank. So the captain comes home one day and says, Mom, Dad, I want to get a dog. All my friends have told me that a pirate should have a salty sea dog. Can I have one? His parents say, I don't know, I'm not so sure. Maybe if you could prove that you're responsible first. How about you take care of this plank? I want you to walk the plank, talk to the plank, give it food and give it water. Maybe then we'll get you a dog. The captain stares on in disbelief. Later, we see the captain taking the board for a walk on the boardwalk. And to the side, out of the corner of his eye, he spots a small boat. There's actually a boat race going on the island, and the captain decides to enter his plank as a contestant. As things go on, the boat winds up being washed out to sea. And after that, things get hairy. In the world full of beardy pirates, it's not easy growing up smooth. Thanks very much.
Funny pitch. I love the idea that that the story comes from a personal place. I love the idea that you're sort of representing different types of kids, and that your protagonist is sort of dealing with an insecurity, because I think that's really relevant to kids. And question about the beards. Captain Smooth, is that his ultimate goal, or is that just sort of a piece of the world?
To try and achieve your goals, and don't hold yourself back from opportunities that you can go for.
And are these 7 or 11-minute stories? Like
11 minutes.
What happens after the plank? What does Captain Smooth get the dog?
Good. That's exactly what I wanted to ask. In maybe shows like Regular Show, often what happens is they kind of start off at the park, and then afterwards something happens, and then it escalates, and then we come back to the park. So in that episode, he would wind up needing his friend's help to go out to sea and find a plank, and along the way, they find a dog and help him out.
Thank you to all the judges, and indeed all the 12 fantastic, entertaining and varied projects we've seen here today. I think you'll all agree they have huge potential, and we can't wait to see who will become this year's winner of the Big Picture 2021. In the meantime, we have a little treat for you guys. The winner of the Big Picture in 2019 was Debbie Tan, with her show Hannah and Nana. And Debbie is now going to share her experiences and the development journey with a presentation of Hannah and Nana.
It's been quite an adventure, really. So I'm originally from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I moved all the way to Ireland, across the sea, to chase my animation career. So I landed myself in IT Tralee, which is how I first heard of and volunteered for Animation Dingle, really, in 2018. And so in my final year, my lecturers constantly encouraged my class to submit our ideas for the big picture. As Grace would know, she's also from IT Tralee. And so I thought, why not? And like any typical student, I threw caution to the wind, prepped myself, my concept 2 days before the deadline, and pitched it, which I do not naturally recommend, but worth a shot. Why not? And sent in my proposal, hope for the best, and I was shortlisted. So after that, we had a few feedback sessions from Jam to shape my idea further. And when the big day arrived, I had to brave the crowd of 400 people on stage, no pressure, right? And pitch my show, initially titled Hannah's Arc, a story inspired by my own childhood as well and my relationship with my grandmother. And pitching for the first time was definitely very nerve-wracking, as I'm pretty sure all the pitchers know right now. But I thought, hey, no matter what happens, it was a great experience regardless, and I was going to have fun doing it. And as some wise people told me, may the best idea win. And fortunately, my project, Hannah's Arc, garnered a great crowd response, and it landed me my next leg of this adventure. So after hopping on board with Jam, those 6 months personally opened my eyes to the world of development in a professional studio setting. I was also given the opportunity to dabble in all sorts of departments, really, from scripting, character and visual development, story idea, storyboarding, pitch Bible after pitch Bible after pitch Bible, and of course, pitching itself. And well, the most important thing I'd like to share with you guys is that you have to be flexible and you have to be open to collaboration. Your story will go through many, many, many iterations, and you will have to go back to the drawing board again and again and again. But keep asking for feedback. And it is through this process that I saw even my own story improve by leaps and bounds while staying true to the heart of the story and its core. And so after finessing all of the finer details, we packed our bags and actually set off to pitch at Cartoon Springboard in Valencia as well. And that was amazing. It was also another pitching process and Cartoon Forum, but virtually, unfortunately. So we took a nice little twist on it and did a video pitch. So pitching also plays a very important part in this process of delivering your ideas to investors and broadcasters. So this is very good practice for you guys. So keep it up. And after each round of pitching, we gathered feedback again and fine-tuned the show further. And since then, we've been pitching to multiple broadcasters, and we're very, very excited about the future for Hannah and Nana, really. So now I'd like to share with you a little sneak peek trailer of what it looks like today. So you can take it away, Scott.
Yes, thank you. So you guys, what an incredible job. The first thing we talked about in the judging room was how hard it is to pitch in general, then how hard it is to pitch via Zoom with a 3-minute time limit where you can't be in the room with people. And the fact that you guys pulled this off as students, it just blew our minds. So first of all, congratulations and well done. And I also have to say, we were having a very vibrant discussion. There were several favorites voiced in the room. I think we could have, knowing all of us, spent about an hour talking about the strengths of each pitch and what we wanted to see more of. But John Rice came in to lower the hammer and told us we had to make a decision. So there was one pitch which floated to the top for us and was filled with promise and the beginnings of a beautiful world created and beautiful themes. And congratulations, that is Nova, which is Kirsten Hennessy.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm genuinely floored by that.
Oh, well done, Kirsten.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. That means a lot. Thank you.
I think we'll just wrap it up now. I just want to say a few final words to everyone. I want to thank everybody, all the pitchers and participants that took part. Thanks to our judging panel. Thanks to Jam Media for providing the internship. Thanks to Cartoon Springboard, who will host today's winner, yourself, Kirsten, at their event in Valencia in Spain. Thanks to Scott, Tiago, Shauna, and Miguel for the huge contributions. Thanks to all the crew at Animation Dingle, all the crew at Jam Media who made this panel possible. And finally, thanks to our sponsor, DreamWorks, for their generous support. And we couldn't have had it without you. Thanks, guys.